ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Lucore Automotive. Today, it's Dyno Day. We are on our way to CIA Performance. And as you can tell, I'm in the AMC AMX. As you can probably also tell, it's a whole lot louder in here than it used to be because we finally got the exhaust done in this car. It now has long tube headers, a Pypes X pipe, and Flowmaster mufflers out back. Definitely changed the attitude of this car for sure. Also, I have a roof. It rained this morning, as you can see. The rain stayed out of the car. Hopefully, it's going to make it the whole way from here to CIA Performance. I'm a little bit nervous about the fact that I may have not sealed this correctly and it's going to come flying out. Probably not going to happen, but whatever. Anyway, it's Dyno Day. Going to make a lot of America sounds. See what this thing does. Will it make 200 wheel horsepower? Can it pick up 30 horsepower just off the exhaust modifications? We'll see. Stay tuned. We made it! And my glass is still in the roof. How about them apples? So there you go. Welcome to CIA Performance. We haven't been here in a little while. This is where we do all of our dyno tuning. Man, she sounds good. Definitely a lot of an attitude change with the exhaust that's on this car. So, this is where we do all of our dyno tuning. Eric is actually in there. I was just talking to Eric a moment ago. He's the guy that does all of our stuff here. Normally speaking, you would have seen us in their back building. They moved all of their dyno stuff from the back building to the front building, so now they're up here. But otherwise, same. The idea here is we want to compare as much apples to apples as possible. Keep the same car, same dyno, same person, same setup, same all that stuff. So it gives you the most true you possibly can have as far as, you know, ratings and that kind of thing. So last time we were here and we were on their in-ground dyno in the back, it made 170 wheel horsepower. We kind of expected it to make a little bit more than that, but through the factory exhaust, the factory manifolds, the factory Y pipe, we kind of all figured that's exactly where this thing is missing its power. So now with the long tube headers from Hedman, the Pypes X pipe, and exhaust that actually flows correctly, we're thinking we're going to find it. Now we may see a drop in torque on the low end, which is typically something you're going to see when you free up the exhaust, is you tend to move that power band a little bit better. But we'll see. Who knows? It's very, very possible that this thing was choking itself down with that tiny little exhaust that was on there. But we're going to find out. That's why you do this stuff. Man, it sounds good. I love it. It sounds so good. She's not happy. We'll fix that. One of the reasons we're here. It's not cold. I drove the whole way here from Plain City. Of course it was ahead of its time. She's not happy. Anytime we ever bring vehicles over here, Eric's always impressed with the quality of the vehicle. We never bring him not never, but we seldom bring him really nice finished quality products. A lot of times they're kind of, you know, sketchily put together, maybe not entirely assembled. But they have character, Eric, they have character. So for those of you who have been watching previous videos with this AMX and have seen it being dynoed over here at CIA Performance, you're going to see this is not the same setup because they were in the building in the back before. Same dyno, it's It's just now rack mounted instead of sunken in the floor. In case they move locations, they didn't want to deal with digging it and setting it in the floor, you know, spend us $7,000 or $8,000 to do that. This way, in case they move locations and they want to move where the dyno is or whatever the case may be, they don't have to dig another hole, move the dyno again. So, same dyno, same. So we're still getting apples to apples comparison, just so we all understand each other. By the way, this is a really, really nice living through No, she's not.
Oh, I got this roll last time too. How was that? Never gonna hear me say it needs to be 9 inches shorter.
So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, let's do a quick little catch-up. 1979 AMC Spirit AMX. It is an AMC 304 that's under the hood. The original AMC 304 that's under the hood. It's a 60 over build, about 9:1 compression, still has factory cast iron heads on it. It is running a Brawler 650 with mechanical secondaries carburetor. And it's awesome. It also doesn't want to idle and or run right now. So, step one, make car run before you can do dyno pulls. So I'm gonna pull the front bowls off and go up some jets. Go from there. By the way, if you haven't watched any dyno videos from us before, this is not gonna be one of those like 1 minute videos where you just make a pull, talk about the numbers, yay. That's not how this goes. Because this is Eric's job, is doing this stuff. It's usually not just put it on the dyno and it makes a bunch of big numbers. That's not how this usually works.
Correct. Yeah, that's the way it works.
Especially when I come over.
Always.
Look at Eric. He put a stair step over here so short people can get up here. Isn't that nice? That's nice of him. So here we are. There's our AMC 304 with my America as valve covers. See those brand new Hedman headers in DEI titanium exhaust wrapping. Looks like our upgrades on the valve covers got rid of any oil leak we had. That's good. Yeah. And even more fun is I don't have to do any of the work because Eric brought me a chair so I could just hang out. So, primary jets were 65s when we last tuned this thing, and it is running way lean. So, let me get out of my chair here. Go to like some 70s, 72s?
Well, 70s because we don't have them. They're in the back, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go to 72s.
72s.
In case we need 71 for the back. Remaining what's the worst going to happen. Change them.
This is one of the more annoying parts about tuning carburation versus tuning EFI. Is having to take this all apart, stick it together, and see what it does, and then nope, that doesn't work. Take it all back apart again, do it again. But that's okay. Eric's a professional and he loves doing this stuff.
I do.
Every day. He was just telling me off camera how much he loves getting to do this every day. See that face?
Yeah. It's good. The result is pain. The pain getting there can be painful sometimes. But
yes.
When it goes well, the
right.
result makes it all worth it.
You see? There you go. Stay in school, kids. Learn your math, too, because that's important for this stuff. You
definitely need math.
Math and science. Very important if you're going to be wrenching on cars. Apparently you're doing it in self-conscious. So what I did not mention yet, and you'll obviously see Carrie here behind me, is the fact that Carrie he brought his GTO, and we're gonna do baseline pulls on this thing. This car is still on the oil you put in it in
2006, 2007.
Yeah,
I think that's the last oil change. But it's synthetic. It's Mobile 1.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so we are going to actually dyno the GTO and get some baselines. The idea here is not going to be tuning this car. It's on a quadrojet. It's a built 400, but we're not going to be tuning it. We're basically maybe going to play with some timing a little bit, but we're just going to put some baseline pulls on it because we want to see what it makes now, so that when you start playing with things and improving things and making it better, you can actually see from the baseline.
Well, that's the goal, right? Is you want to build it back better. You want to make it cool and fast and fun and all that. And it's basically a stock car at this point, and I would like it to not be a stock car.
Yeah. Now you'll probably have to go over to Carrie's channel to see all that stuff. I'm not going to share much of that. I'll probably put a poll or two on ours. But
make sure you drop a link, though.
For the most part, you're going to want to go over to Carrie's channel, Mechanical Advantage Garage, to be able to see this GTO, where it is now. I think you just did a video probably with the trans stuff.
Yes, I did well, I'm going to do the trans stuff and the dyno together.
Okay.
But I did a video with the brake stuff, picking it up from you. That was on Monday.
Gotcha. So there you go. Mechanical Advantage Garage. Go check out Carrie and his 67 GTO. Essentially an all original numbers matching car that hopefully doesn't blow up.
The tranny is a warranty replacement in 1968. And I have the paperwork for it.
Oh. So much better.
Right. It stinks though. Wow.
Better?
Got enough items. At least it's not dead flat names.
Yeah.
Hanging the whole 2,000 RPM. The jets might actually be a little bit big. I really wish we had 70s.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, I can run a Jegs and grab a 770.
Let it warm up again.
Only does it here.
It doesn't like being here.
It doesn't.
Well, that's weird.
In my defense, people, do you ever hear that thing screaming? Ever? I don't know. It doesn't like you.
It's alright.
Whatever.
It screamed when I drove it.
It never does it when I drive it. You guys are driving it wrong. So what you're paying attention to on the screen there, hopefully, is this little thingy right here. AFR. So what he's got is he's got a sniffer that's in the exhaust pipe over here. Right there. That is sniffing the exhaust, and it gives us the ability to truly see what our air-fuel ratios are and make adjustments accordingly. So he's now going to adjust the idle screws. See up there? To get this thing idling properly. We went up from a 65 to a 72 on a main jet. Which may have been a little bit too much, but better too much than not enough. But look at that. Look at that.
A little weird, something better.
Yeah. Look at that. He's already fixing things. That's why we come here. In all honesty, if you saw the exhaust video, we were pretty well burnt by the time we were done, and what you saw on camera in that exhaust video was all the runtime on this car. So it left, we left at 1 in the morning. It went outside this morning, was not happy, and then drove it to here. Did not fiddle with anything, didn't touch anything, because there's no point in us wasting a bunch of time throwing stuff at things when we can just come here and get it done more efficiently. So, can we do this stuff ourselves? Yes. Did we bother to do that? No, we did not. All right, folks. Let's see how she does. First pulls. Carb tuning. Here we go. All right, so we were at 72s. We originally were at 75s. So we're going to kind of split the difference here at 69s because we're seeing too much fuel. Adjustments to the idle circuit, that's nice. Normally speaking, when you're moving jets around, you're moving jet sizes around, you do actually need to make adjustments to your idle as well. In this case, it's pretty close, maybe a little bit of adjustment, but pretty dang close. Before we start making pulls, let's hear your guesses. Let's see your guesses. Made 170 on factory manifolds, factory Y pipe. I'm thinking 205.
I'm gonna go 200.
200 right on the number.
Yeah.
Carrie, what do you think? What do you think it'll make?
This.
250.
I know who's gonna lose.
Well, all right. So it's a battle. Just stay in it until. I've got 205. He's got 200. 207. Oh, Price is Right rules. All right. This is actually really nerve-wracking. No matter how many times you do this, it's just nerve-wracking. .58. 199.58.
And it's too rich still.
And it's too rich. Way too rich. So, the numbers here. This is your target AFR line, this dotted line. And you're running a little bit lean here, and then it just runs super rich. And it stayed at like 11 basically the entire way across. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
11, 11 and a half. So, the rule of thumb is leaner is meaner. There's more power left to have.
There's more, yeah. That rule of thumb though,
yes.
Leaner is meaner, depends on how long you want the engine to last.
Exactly. Leaner is meaner to a point. There's definitely power left though. We don't need to be running nearly that.
So I'm going to lose already.
Yeah. I think there's way more than 5 horsepower left in this thing by taking a good chunk of that out. So
I'm pretty sure that he's going to end up.
There's no way this thing gets that high.
What, 207?
Oh, that's right. He said 207. Yeah.
207?
I think you've got 10 horsepower in this.
All right, let's keep moving then.
All right. So there you go. We're going to hit our 200 horsepower number. It's my happy dance, my happy dance. This thing, I've said this in my other videos. If you haven't seen them before, welcome to the channel. But this thing was a freaking blast to drive. When Carrie and I took it on Power Tour in 2021. Yeah, 2021. And it made like 110 wheel horsepower because it was only running on the primaries. It wasn't running on, even on the secondary circuit. It made 110. It was a blast to drive. We had a great time in it. We swapped out the carburetor, went to a mechanical secondary, and this thing made 170 horsepower before we brought it here. And it was a freaking blast to drive. It's so much fun.
Well, what made it a blast to drive in 2021 wasn't that it had 110 horsepower.
No.
It was the fear of imminent death.
Also true. And everybody around you going, what in the world is that?
Oh, I haven't seen one of these since I don't know when, man. How cool is that?
So, the money is definitely there. The power is definitely there. Just an exhaust alone, we have picked up 30 horsepower.
High five. That is a crisp high five.
Just in headers and an X-pipe. Verified. There you go. Now let's do some fiddling and see how much better we can get this. And by we, I mean Eric. So, one of the main awesome parts about doing this properly with dyno is data. You can get things figured out with the seat of your pants by driving down the road, and you can get pretty good. You can get pretty close. The nice thing with this is it allows us to really fine-tune things, and we can truly compare changes and see exactly what we get. So this is actually loaded the dyno run from last time, which was max power run last time. It was 269 at 5,200 RPMs and 223 foot-pounds of torque at 3,200 RPMs. You can also see the AFR on, when we ran it, was not nearly as clean as it is now. What you also will notice is the separation that you're gonna see. Like, for instance, right here, on the old tune, it was making 207 horsepower. Right now, it makes 246. So you've almost got a 40 horsepower split here at that specific RPM. So, like, as it's going out, it's not necessarily all about the peak power that's different. It's about the time under the curve that's different. There's so much extra power all the way across. In some points, it's 40 or more horsepower, and we still have more tuning to do. So, there's definitely more power to be found. This is not by any means a max power build. That's not what we're going for here. But it shows. It shows what it shows. It's math. Numbers don't lie. Okay, so jet change for the rear. We initially had 70s in the rear. We're gonna go down from a 70 to a 67. So dropping 3 jet sizes in the rear because we're seeing that it's running too rich when those secondaries kick in. When we're down here, we're trying to lean this out, pull that line up, and that's predominantly going to be a secondaries conversation. So hopefully gives us another maybe a half a point or so. But data is important. So we actually went too lean and we lost all that power we just got. So split it in the middle. You want to do 69s?
Well, I had 70s.
68s?
I'd rather have a little bit rich.
Yeah. You want to do 69s in a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to take any out of the primary or no? Guess and check. So here's the new plan. We don't have any 69s.
69s.
We don't have any 69s because they're already in it. They're in the front. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna pull the 69s out of the front. We're gonna go down 1 jet size to a 68 to lean out that front just a little bit. And then we're gonna move those 69s to the rear instead of the 67. So we're gonna go down 1 in the front and up 2 in the rear. Make sense? Welcome to Carb Tuning. Isn't this fun? Also, very legitimately a conversation piece about why you do EFI.
Now everybody has this change made.
Right. if we just put a sniper on this damn thing, all of this would not be an issue. You just put it on it and drive it around. But where would the fun in that be, right? I mean, it does legitimately make sense to do sniper. It's one of the reasons we do a lot of the stuff that we're doing. Actually, even this thing is on EFI. A lot of what our classic car stuff now is going to is snipers or FI Tech or whoever, because of the tunability, because you could just basically make these adjustments on the fly, and it has a computer that makes the adjustments instead of you having to tear the carburetor apart, change jets, change pump shots, change all that stuff. It's just a computer. It learns as it goes. If it's running too lean, it gives it more fuel. If it's running too rich, it pulls some fuel away. That's it. Versus us having to do it all here. So, anyway, back to work. Ah!
So these are your primary jets for those of you who are not knowledgeable about this thing.
Okay, so for those of you keeping track at home, we went down one in the front, up two in the rear. See what this does. Discussing off camera momentarily ago that I think the reason we were missing so much power is the fact that we hit it too fast. The choke blades weren't open. So maybe a little bit of a not necessarily totally useful thing, but still useful. So with the adjustments we made, we are still too rich on the primaries, but we actually need to add some now to the secondary. So you can see here in your line graph, it's close. But we want to get it just a little bit further down, a little bit richer. It doesn't really get better when you make it real lean. So we want to be safe as well as make good power. So we're going to drop that down. We're going to move the primaries down again. We're going to move the secondaries up again. And then it'll be perfect.
Hopefully that'll be it.
Yeah, and then hopefully that's it. And again, we haven't touched timing whatsoever. This is just still a factory original distributor, old school coil, no recurve, no none of that stuff. No magic here. Nothing has been changed. Purely just the exhaust. For those curious, we're going to be going 67s in the front and 70s in the rear. So we're going back to the actual same jets that were in the rear. We just maybe overshot the primaries. We're going to see where we are. And this is probably going to get us where we need to be. And then we may play with the timing a little bit just to see if we can find a little bit more horsepower. But at this point in time, I'm already happy. We're at 200. That's where I wanted to be. We picked up 30 horsepower, picked up more than that across different points of the curve. So I'm ecstatic. I am freaking pumped. 200 at the tires. This thing made 120, 125 at the crank from the factory. Still cast iron heads, not big valves, no crazy, there's no porting involved in this. It's still small Gara 1979 heads. Not bad, folks, not bad. All right, here we go. Survey says, nope, lost power.
Yeah.
So, I didn't look at the jets, the stamping on the side of the jet, and what I thought I handed Eric were 70s, because they were in the 70 hole in the box, were definitely not 70s. They were 78s, which is way too much jet, which makes sense as to why it ran so rich. So we're gonna step down from 78s to 72s, and we're gonna see if that fixes our problem. And this is more of our leaner is meaner and gets our power. We're making 199.99 at the moment. Gotta see a 2. Gotta see a 2. Gotta see a 2. And then we can play with timing and hopefully make it a little bit better. What do you guys think about the sound so far? Definitely sounds a lot better than it did before. It's got a real bassy note to it. I was not expecting it to be quite that deep. What do you guys think? I know, it doesn't make any sense. So, zoom in on my nostrils. Our air-fuel ratio is basically almost exactly where it wants to be. It's in between the two runs where it was too lean and too rich. It's right at where our target is, and it's making less power than both too lean and too rich, which makes no sense. And it does it across the board, make less power.
One thing I'm wondering if the engine's hot enough to punch, the fan is actually fully engaged, which will cause a huge parasitic loss.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it exactly the way it is. We're going to let it cool down.
Okay.
And then we'll also just make sure we're getting good cool airflow, like ambient flow. We'll turn the other fan on.
Okay.
And then make it cool. Because with everything else being the same except for one vent change, which basically put us right where we want to be on our AFR.
Right. That makes no sense.
Yeah. And it's not like we've got a miss or anything like that. It would hurt that.
Right.
So.
All right.
You may be putting an electric fan on this at some point.
That's next. But I didn't want to do that now because it'd be cheating.
Right.
Then we're finding 5 extra horsepower.
You're not cheating, you ain't winning.
There will be an electric fan on this thing in the future. It does have a clutched fan on it right now. And you know, you're gonna find probably 5 or 6 horsepower and just going with an electric fan. This is not by any means a max power build, but you know, cooling wise, it's a better option. And you're gonna get a little extra power out of it, so. But we're gonna let it sit for a little bit. We're gonna come back to this after a word from your station. Run an ad or something. We're thinking we have an issue with the fan dragging on the motor when it gets hot. because the AFRs are exactly where they should be. And we're not seeing what we should be seeing. There's something that's taking power away from the motor when it shouldn't be taking power away. It made 199 horsepower in the tires, both too rich and too lean. But when we got it right where it needs to be, it's losing power. And it's losing power linearly across the entire band. So there's something that's dragging on it that we're thinking maybe is a fan issue. So we let it cool down. We're gonna make a pull on it now that it's cooled and see what happens. Hopefully, we're back to 199 or maybe 200? Maybe. Here we go. Still down, 175. Does not make any sense.
So 2 back-to-back pulls in rapid succession. Both are basically right on our target AFR line. But we're down 25 horsepower. Keeping track. These are now 74s. We're just doing rears. So we're going from 72s to 74s. This is making less and less sense unless this is an issue of the fan. Because we can go, both the red and green lines here are almost perfect, identical. And they are a massive difference as far as AFR goes. The blue line and the red line are damn near the same thing, at least out here where it starts measuring actual power. And there's a 25 horsepower difference between the two. So either we have some sort of drag that's just dragging the motor, which could be the fan, or maybe we hurt the motor. But I don't know. So we're gonna go to 74s and see what happens. If it makes exactly the same power, then we've got something else that's going. Yep. So there's your answer. Welcome to Dyno Tuning. Isn't this fun?
Right.
Isn't this fun, Carrie?
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I have no skin in this game whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when it's not your problem.
Right.
All right, let's see what we can do this time. Blades are open. So we're starting to not throw darts, but we're working through this. So we've regained 7 horsepower and 10 foot-pounds of torque by fattening up the rears. And we've got a good AFR on the top end, but what we're thinking is we actually we're worried that we're starving on the primary circuit. So we're gonna go up like 2 in front and see if when it was first making that power pull right off the rip, because we went up a huge jump on primary right when we got here. And it made 199. So we're gonna go back up to 199 tune and see what happens. Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
We're gonna eat first, and then we're gonna do that. All right, we're back. Hopefully you guys had a good time during the commercial break. Got some root beer. A&W root beer stand in Long John Silver's is like 3 blocks that way, so ultimate fat guy food.
Oh yeah.
Not a bad way to spend an afternoon. So while we were gone, Eric has been working, because he doesn't take long lunches like fat guys do.
He has got our, we're up 2 jet sizes in the front. So we're up 2 jet sizes in the front. He also adjusted the accelerator pump. So we're gonna see if we get back to our mystical 199.99 number. Or maybe hit 200, because that would be cool too. Timing wise, for those who are interested, we're at 26 degrees base timing, 36 degrees total timing, which is pretty much right where we want to be. We don't probably want to mess with that too much. But again, just something to know. We're gonna hope. Realistically, if we would just make 200 and it's drivable, I'm happy. I don't need any more than that. Come on, baby. So we gave it we gave it more fuel, fattened it up, and it lost power again.
We didn't fatten it up that much.
Yeah, it didn't fatten up a lot, but some. 1/4 of a point, but it still lost another 7 horsepower. Why didn't I just put fuel injection on this car? Well, while we were off camera, we actually made it worse.
On purpose.
On purpose, made it worse on purpose. So we're trying things at this point in time. It took a couple of degrees of timing out of it. And by a couple, I mean 6 degrees of timing out of it. And we lost a whole bunch of power. So it's now down to 157 and 204 foot-pounds of torque. So we lost 50 foot-pounds of torque and like 20 horsepower. So we're verifying the timing is definitely making an effect here. So we put timing back in it and then a little bit extra. We're going to see what that does. The possibility we're fighting either a fan clutch issue or an ignition issue. We'll see. Whoa! That made a difference! 206.4?
Woo! Closest to the pin!
Yeah, we might be able to do better. It's a little bit rich. Oh, by the way, I've got my power and torque. I'm hooked up here on the dyno now. So I can actually see.
Yeah, buddy. All right.
Let's get rid of some junk.
206.84.
I think that rounds to 207. Is that right? Does that round to 207?
Yes, you have officially gotten closer to the pig.
I'm actually not super crappy about the. I mean, it's a little bit rich down here,
Yeah.
but overall. Now, we're gonna pull a plug per side.
Okay. See if they look like. And those are brand new plugs that are in there. So
All right. Well, I mean,
260 foot-pounds of torque and 207 horsepower.
and this is the last time. Yeah, significant difference. I didn't pull it all the way out as high as we did last time, but
Yeah.
noticeable. Definitely noticeable. You can definitely shift earlier now.
Yeah.
Because your peak power is staying back down in this neighborhood about 5 kilometers.
This is honestly part of the reason that you do this kind of thing. It's an invaluable tool. The dyno session and the dyno itself and the dyno tuner are all tools to help you make your car run better. It's not all about making the max power, in this case, you know, getting where we need to be, but there's only certain things you can really do from the seat of your pantsometer or with a, you know, an app or whatever. On these old cars, a lot of this, you really have to, you don't get a lot of feedback, so you got to be able to pull plugs, read plugs, you got to be able to kind of figure out what's going on, what the car is telling you, but you don't get a lot of like real actual feedback. So in this way, and doing what we're doing now, is it allows us to really fine-tune this car and make it the best it can be, drivability-wise, power-wise, get it all done and get it right. So it looks like we probably have some ignition issues that we're going to have to do battle with first. You know, that's fine. This car is not done. It's never going to be done. But this car is now at its, you know, at another phase, and it's going to be a whole lot better. When we got here, it was 170 horsepower, or when it was originally on the same exact carburetor with the factory exhaust on it, was just a little less than 170 horsepower. Now we're 207 horsepower. So that's a huge gain. We're almost up. We're 37 horsepower up. That's huge. And there's definitely some more power that's still left there. With the fan situation, we're going to go ahead and replace that. The ignition situation, we're going to go ahead and replace that. It is the original 1979 factory original stuff that's in there. It's got a new set of plugs in it, but otherwise it's all original stuff. So, but hey man, we hit 200. We went right past 200, right to 207. So Carrie wins the prize. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that also. This has definitely been an adventure, but this is how dyno days go. Isn't it fun? All right, let's get this wrapped up. We'll wrap this video up, and then it's time to give you a little teaser of Carrie's GTO in the dyno. Final poll of the day. We're gonna do this a little bit differently. We're gonna make this more real world, right? So we've been running this without the air cleaner on it to be able to get all the tuning and everything correct. We're gonna actually rerun it with the air cleaner on it and verify exactly what our power levels are as it is in street trim. This should technically richen it up a little bit because it should restrict the amount of air that's being breathed into the engine. Now, whether or not that's gonna be much of an effect on a 200 horsepower car with 300 and something cubic inches, probably not a big deal, but verify and make sure all your driving capabilities and all the adjustments that we've made, make sure that it's fully enjoyable and drivable, because it's all well and good if it makes lots of power on the dyno numbers, but if it's a pain in the, you know, to drive, that doesn't get us anywhere. So, you know, let it warm up, get those choke plates open, and then do a little driving around. We'll see exactly what it makes with the air cleaner on in full stock trim on the street. Made more power. How about them apples? Look at this. We're up to 208.64 and it made another 8 foot-pounds of torque. Okay. Interesting moment, and this is again where you can use this as very much a learning tool. So this is our final dyno graph. Max power 208.64 at 4,500 RPMs. Max torque 267.35 at 3,500 RPMs. So we did make these pulls out to 5,200 or so. And the reason being is when we originally were pulling on this car before with the factory exhaust on it, it was making peak power really up towards the top end. And I can refer back to this run here and show you exactly what we're talking about. So max power at this point in time was 169.39 at 5,200 RPMs. Max torque was 223.91 at 3,200 RPMs. So you had an issue of, we could spin this out and you could see how this is really flattened out. It just could not breathe any further than this. What we've done is we've alleviated our issue of the fact that it won't breathe. Now it's an issue of we're running into a limitation of what that camshaft is designed to do. It just isn't, it's not designed to spin to 5,500 or 6,000 RPMs. If this were a more rowdy camshaft that was designed to spin to 5,500 RPMs, we could very easily make another 30 or 40 horsepower probably, if you were spinning it out that way, if it's designed to do that. But it also makes it less of a fun car to drive on the low end when you build a car that's designed to go way up in the revenue.
Right now you've got a really wide torque band.
Yeah.
You know, you're over 250 from 2,500 all the way almost up to about 4,400.
Yeah.
So that makes for fun street stuff. If you were racing it in any shape or form, drag racing, road racing, autocrossing it, you want to shift all that.
Right.
So.
Yep. So there we go, guys. Good stuff. Very important stuff to learn. As I said, dynos are all fun for the dynograph thing and for the making the noise thing, but the most useful part about this is it gives you a very pointed diagnostic tool to be able to figure out where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, where your next upgrade needs to be, instead of just throwing a dart at it and putting a cold air intake manifold on it, or you know, a catless downpipe, whatever that you kids are doing these days. This way you can actually figure out what needs to be done next, what makes most sense, where do we find our most power. You know, when we're looking at dyno comparisons, I mean, this is at 3,500 RPMs where you normally would drive this car. We went from 219 to 267. Time under the curve is what it's all about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Time under the curve. It's not all about the peak number. It's how much differentiation and how long that differentiation lasts. That really makes a difference in driving. So, I'm very happy. Very, 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 very happy. That's, yeah. That's excellent. Excellent. All right, let's pull this thing off here. We're gonna get Carrie on here and I'll give you a little tiny tease of that, but you're gonna have to go watch his channel to get all that GTO stuff. Unless it blows up, in which case I'll show you all that online. And then we'll be here all day tomorrow cleaning up Eric's dyno.
You'll be here tonight.
Or we'll be here all day. We'll be here all night tonight and tomorrow cleaning up Eric's dyno. Folks, Carrie's GTO on the dyno. Once it got moving. Not bad. All right, if you want to see more of this is all going to be over on Mechanical Advantage Garage's YouTube channel. Carrie and his 67 GTO. This car spent 16 years underneath a tree on Long Island, New York with a car cover on it. So this is kind of a baseline setup. We're just kind of waiting to see where exactly it is, what it's starting from. He's just starting the process on bringing this car back to life. Gonna be a cool project. It's really cool to see somebody kind of getting in and wanting to do it from the ground up. This car looks rough,
but it's got some good bones to it. The body is pretty rough, but the floor is good, the frame is good. It's got a lot of good bits. It doesn't need a full build. It'll probably be something he can enjoy, you know, in phases and that kind of thing, like, you know, most of us. So anyway, thanks very much for being here. Huge thanks to CIA Performance for the day spent tuning on the AMX. I am beyond excited about how much power we got out of this car. We were hoping for 200. We ended up at 208 with some extra room to grow if we really want to. Probably going to be some ignition looking at, probably an electric fan, a couple of other things we could do as far as the, you know, increased power and drivability and that kind of thing. But that'll all be a tale for another day. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Thanks for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Obviously, this is not the last you'll see of the 1979 AMX, and we do have 2 more of these sitting at the shop. One of which you're going to see some more moving forward here very shortly with. So if you guys are interested in AMC stuff, stick around. We have a lot more coming. Take care.